Hey there, MJ traders and investors. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Also home to the best MJ community. And welcome back for another rapid fire news update for the period April 13th to the 19th. Again, this isn't to go into deep dive detail. It's just a high level overview in case you missed it, and try to keep these videos around 10 to 15 minutes. And there's a lot of news. There's no shortage of news week after week after week. It's crazy how much news actually unfolds in the space, and I'm just cherry picking all of the main ones. It would take way too long, likely over somewhere around 30 to 60 minutes to do a full video of all the news that really happens, and it's just really scratching the surface whenever we do these videos. But things are moving. We've got everything in Congress pointing to major reform happening in the US. We got Germany, around the world, and it's only ever going to happen once. But as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Before we get to the news, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me and the channel. If you're new, you can subscribe. Tick the bell, you'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. You can also follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. The handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. Jumping right into it, Schumer and key House lawmakers discuss merging MJ banking bill with a cryptocurrency reform bill as well. So there's talks about adding MJ banking to a potential stablecoin bill, which would be huge. As we know, a lot of the investors and traders that are in MJ are also in crypto. And in my opinion, these two industries and sectors are going to run inversely to one another, because you can't create a big bubble running them both at the same time. You can create bubbles for sure in both at the same time if you look at February 2021, but you're not going to see max euphoria. And I think the reason why all MJ didn't hit all new all-time highs, like Free, I think was the only one that really did so, a couple in the US as well. But if you go back to whenever Canada legalized, everybody in 2018 was hitting new all-time highs, right? You could just throw a dart and win. Whereas I think the difference is then crypto was going into a bear market, right? So I think leading up into the next, call it 6 to 12 months, MJ is going to enter a new multi-year bull market, and I think crypto is going to enter a multi-year bear market. But this is massively bullish for both. And I've been also floating around the idea of doing a cryptocurrency news video such as this, either once a week or once every couple weeks. Let me know in the comment section below if you would like to see those videos. Also, MJ Biz Daily reports that Cannabis stockholders okay their share structure for U.S. MJ Holdings Company. So I've already done a video on this. You can check that out for more details. Also, more to come on that in just a moment. Also, Missouri MJ retailers set a monthly record for sales at $124.7 million for March. So again, this is going to be a high cash flowing businesses. Tons of dividends, as we know. Cureleaf CEO, or I guess co-founder and executive chairman Boris Jordan said that they would already be paying a dividend if not for 280E. Imagine if we get rescheduling, 280E goes away, and then we could potentially see, companies like Cureleaf and all these other, companies that are being plagued by the taxation, right? There's a big thing in Canada as well, and there's some more to come on that with regards to California. But just imagine that, hundreds and hundreds of $1 million hitting these companies' bottom lines, right? There's going to be high cash flowing businesses and dividends. Like I said, if not for 280E, we'd probably already see that from a lot of the U.S. producers. Also, the White House says MJ rescheduling is now up to the DOJ after receiving HHS recommendation guided by evidence. So this is nothing new. I think they interchangeably just use DOJ with DEA. So DEA is an agency within the Department of Justice. So it's just an agency in that department. So they're one and the same. But there's tons of agencies within the DOJ, and I've done a post on that. If you just go to the community tab here and scroll down, you can see here, this is the photo. So you've got Department of Justice, right, Attorney General, and then way down here you got the DEA. So in my opinion, it's just absolutely asinine. Why is the DEA why are they the ones that have the final say? They should be enforcing the law, and the Department of Justice, right, overall should be punishing those who break the law. But as we know, the health agencies, the FDA is part of Health and Human Services Department. So it should be up to the health agencies, right? They decide what's medicine and what's not. And it's arguably, without a doubt, medicine. So it should be up to the health agencies. Again, always back asswards here with these politicians. Also, not so great news. We were expecting some sort of reform with regards to Canadian excise taxes, but that is not going to happen in 2024. It was not included in the Canadian budget Maybe it happens later on this year, but I think it's going to happen somewhere around the same time that we get actual rescheduling and removal of 280E. Remember, if we get the DEA or the DOJ come out tomorrow and say, we approve HHS's recommendation to Schedule 3, there's a 60-day comment period. It's going to take multiple months, right, before it actually gets enacted. And it's probably going to be, enacted some point, toward the end of 2024, if not in 2025, in my opinion, early. So again, even if it gets approved and we get the announcement, it's still going to be multiple months. So this buys Canada some time as well, and some of the Canadian operators. But as we know, Canadian operators are becoming U.S. operators, so LPs and MSOs and vice versa, right? We're seeing Curaleaf, shortly after I made a video, mega merger video, blue chip phase mergers, we're going to see mega mergers. Like, I think it was like 2 or 3 days after Curaleaf acquired Northern Green Canada, which is a small operator here in Canada. And then shortly after that, we had shareholders okay the restructure for Cannabis USA and holdings company. So they're going to acquire acreage. So essentially, we're already seeing it here, right? The writing's on the wall. So again, this is definitely a big letdown and a missed opportunity. But in my opinion, it'll come out sometime in the next, call it year or two. But I think it'll be somewhere around coinciding similar with the removal of 280E. Also, moreover, on a taxation topic and front, California County mulls reduction to MJ cultivation tax. So this is good news for Sonoma County growers. So again, it's just, they always say, it doesn't matter about the little guy or the little gal. You can get into this industry, right? It's all about the failed war on drugs and the social justices and, all these different ethnicities that were targeted, right, from the failed war on drugs. And, they always say, mom and pop can get in as well, but they tax you into oblivion, right? Death by 1,000 cuts. And, that's, some people are starting a dispensary in the US and they don't even know about 280E, right? You're taxed on the gross, not your net income. So it's just insane that some of these people are not aware of that. And here in Canada, Organogram, Tilray, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars going to excise taxes. And in some cases, like Oxy and Organogram, they're paying like a third of their revenue is going to excise taxes. So this is, again, in my opinion, it's just because they're trying to weed out, no pun intended, all of the small producers, the mom and pop shops. They say, look, you can come in. It's not our fault that you failed, but we know it is, right? They're just taxing them into oblivion. And then all these big companies, right? Your Tilrays, your Green Thumbs, your Curaleafs, they can withstand, right? Because they can just tap the equity markets, dilute. They can raise money that way, right? They can get access to lending a lot easier. And they got deep pockets, right? Some of these investors like Canopy and Constellations, right? So they can weather the storm. But what all these high taxation, all it does is hurt, you and I and the little guy and gal and the mom and pop shops, right? Because they just don't have the wherewithal, or they don't have the capability to weather the storm as long, right? So this is always the case with any new industry. Is the big Fortune 500 companies and Wall Street banks have to get positioned and get their paws all over it, and they're just gonna wait us all out, right? Same thing happened in the early days of the internet, when the horse and buggy got replaced by the vehicle, right? When the candles companies got displaced, when Blockbuster just got displaced by Netflix, right? It's all a buying time act, right? And just weeding out all of the small players in the field, right? So majority of Florida voters support MJ legalization, but not enough to pass measure. I do think that it's just FUD. I think it's actually going to pass. I think it'll be somewhere, we require 60. I think it'll be somewhere around that 60 to 65 approval. But I do think it will get enacted in 2025, most likely in the summertime as the most likely time frame. Also, Florida MJ legalization initiative lacks support to pass in second poll in less than a week. And this came out on April 18th. So again, I'm hearing mixed reports, but I don't have any doubt. I'm very confident. Well, there's no guarantee. The only guarantee is no guarantee in the financial markets, but I'm as close to, as confident to 100% confident as I can be. It only makes sense. You got Ohio, Pennsylvania, and rescheduling potentially. But we got some comments from Ron McDonald coming up here in a moment. I've already done a video on that, but we'll save that for a bit later on in the video. Also, Tilray Brands lights up 420 with music festivals and celebrations across the country. It was actually something to behold. You should go on their X account, their Twitter account, and I highly encourage you to follow them there. But there was so many celebrations. They had massive amounts of music going on and festivals. And Irwin Simon was at the brewery, like pouring beers and everything like that. So it's pretty cool to see your CEO that immersed in the business, right? And I think when it's all said and done, Tilray is going to be one of, if not the biggest MJ company in the world. I'm very confident that it's going to be top 5. I'd say like 99% chance it's going to be top 5. I'd say like 95% chance it's going to be in the top 3, and then maybe like an 80 to 90% chance that it's number 1 globally when it's all said and done. Also, Republican, U.S. Earl Blumauer, Oregon Democrat, Rep, not Republican, he's a Democrat. I thought that meant Republican, but U.S. Representative Earl Blumauer, an Oregon Democrat and co-founder of Congressional MJ Caucus, predicted to reporters on Friday that the DA would approve health regulators' August recommendation to reschedule MJ. And he says this is the last 420 with MJ as Schedule 1. So I think some people say that's a bold statement. I don't think that's a bold statement at all. I would say that's just the most likely scenario. Excuse me. Also, Schumer and other Democrats amplify calls for MJ reform ahead of 420, which Congressman says should be celebrated every day. I think, to a certain degree, most people do, right? When I know for myself and like with all my my circle of friends, it'd be like 420 and, I'd be living with a couple of buddies and going to college or whatever. It's like, oh, it's almost 420. We got to light up one, right? It truly is something to behold, right? It's just the best fans and advocates, people who are in this space just absolutely love it. And how can you not want to be a part of it? It truly is the best industry with the best people, in my opinion. And I love each and every one of you who supported me along the way. And I see some of the crypto videos and I'm like, man, I'm kind of glad that I'm not like a crypto focused channel, because some of the comments that some of these people leave on people's videos is just super, super mean and disrespectful. And the quality and the caliber of comments and people in this community, I truly believe this is the best community bar none. And you guys are just absolutely wonderful. And I hope you had a fantastic 420, by the way. I got out and did a round of golf, actually. It was the first day of golf here in Edmonton. Downtown, went to Victoria. It was so beautiful. At one point, it felt like a bright summer day. And the wind was a little chilly, but it was pretty awesome. So it was great to get out. Also, MJ operators aim to mitigate 420 online outages this year. I haven't heard of any. If anybody has heard any outages, let me know. But that was something that was an issue before. But again, I didn't hear anything this time around. Also, Curaleaf MJ store workers in Arizona plan a 420 protest. So there was some speculation. A protest is expected to greet customers. I'm not sure if that actually played out. If anybody has any information on that, let us know. But that's I haven't seen too many protests going on. But let's just see here. I don't want to go too deep into the details here. The union's allegations. Okay. Minimize the impact. This will have customer. Okay, so it looks like it was unionization protest. All right, moving on. Also, a coalition of justice groups pushes Biden to support MJ legalization instead of Schedule 3 move. Wouldn't this be a plot twist, right? I don't think it's going to happen. In order for us to see descheduling effectively, that would and MJ legalization would more than likely come through form of descheduling. And in order to deschedule it, I'm pretty sure you need to get some sort of congressional action, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens, but we'll see. I don't think DOJ, I don't think the DEA is going to come back and say, put it on, just deschedule it altogether. I don't think that's going to happen. And then, like I said, I think you have to amend the CSA, right? So those international treaties, and there'd have to be congressional action to get it done. But you never know. We'll see. But I still think that the most likely scenario is we get Schedule 3. I've been on record to say I think it's going to be this month, but maybe it comes 30, 60 days after, but I think it will come, they got to remember that 60-day comment period, and then, the elections are shortly after that. So I do think that it's going to be some point soon, and then they'll take an incremental approach, right? We'll probably get some sort of banking reform. We'll get uplisting of the NYSE and the NASDAQ, rescheduling. I think that could happen first, then uplisting the NYSE and the NASDAQ. Then it's going to take months for it to get enacted. And for, I think the announcement of rescheduling could come out to Schedule 3 first. Then we get safe banking, uplisting of the NYSE and the NASDAQ. Then rescheduling to Schedule 3 gets enacted, 280 goes away. And then over the next, call it 2 to 5 years, I think we could see descheduling as the most likely scenario, similar to Germany and Canada, and it would legalize that way. Also, Nevis Brands reported financial results for Q1 2024. I've done an interview with John Keeper, the CEO of Nevis Brands. If you haven't seen that, you can check it out. It was a great conversation, but really liking what this company is doing. And if you've tried these major drinks, let me know. I can't wait to try one of them when I go to the States next in some of the places that they operate. But they said he was excited to see Q2, we believe we will have increased revenues, which will include revenue streams from Oregon and early revenues from our launch in Missouri in late April. Our California retail footprint continues to develop, and we also look forward to announcing additional products for existing markets. So, like I said, definitely a company. I don't own any, full disclosure yet, but I may look to pick some up sub 10 cents, somewhere around that, probably 8 to 5 cent area. Also, Indiva to report fourth quarter and full year results pre-market on Thursday, April 25th, 2024. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, right? Because we know that back on April 2nd, MJ operator Indiva weighs options, including a potential sale. So as we know in Canada, the landscape is very difficult. There's price wars, tons of saturation and competition. And we don't need 1,000 producers, right? It's just not sustainable. It's not going to happen, right? It's going to go down to, maybe a few dozen at most, but more than likely, 5 to 10 of the big ones, right? And then eventually we see mega merger phases, right, where big MSOs will merge into big Canadian operators, similar to like a Canopy and an Acreage, right? That'll just continue to be the trend, but we got a lot of time in between that, and I don't think that's going to happen until full-blown legalization at the federal level in the U.S., which will then, maybe 3 to 5 years after that, we'll get a good idea who the real blue chip winners are. Also, Ronald McDonald, Ron DeClown, again, rips into MJ legalization, warning that November ballot measure would not be good for families. So the majority of voters, the majority of Floridians support it, right? The majority of Americans support it. And this guy still rips into it. Does he just hate the people? Does he forget who he works for? And he talks about how it would not be good for families and not for good for elderly. And I did a video on this, and this guy's just an absolute moron. Like, he's obviously just doing the work for the incumbents, the big pharma, big alcohol, big tobacco, right? And just spewing nonsense. It doesn't even make any sense, right? My mother takes it as medicine. She never consumed MJ in her life, and she takes some gummies for help her sleep and with her arthritis. And there's people who have terminal illnesses, right? Like epilepsy, seizures, and there's video that people like can't stop shaking, and they get a little bit of MJ, right? Even if you do it healthy through like a volcano or some sort of vaporizer, do it a healthy alternative, and they go from shaking uncontrollably to just being cool and mellow, right? So it's absolute stupidity, right? When HHS, the Health and Human Services, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, they are saying it should be classified as Schedule 3 in medicine. And this guy saying it would not be good for families. He talks about, you'd be smelling it in the streets and things like that. It's like, I live in Canada. We're over 5 years legal here at the federal level. You can't walk down the street here in Canada and smoke up a J. Like, you can't just light up a pre-roll, right? But that's why beverages are going to be huge as well. And, it's over 5 years legal here in Canada, and it doesn't matter. Like, you go to if you went to New York or if you go to Florida now, it's not legal at the adult use level. You smell it everywhere. It's everywhere to be seen, right? So if anything, it's going to regulate it more, and it's going to get rid of the pesticides and other things, other Schedule 1 drugs that should be on Schedule 1, right? They're going to lace it with fentanyl and all these other crazy Schedule 1s, right? That have every business being on that schedule. So I can't get over that. I really dislike that guy. And no respect whatsoever. Also, more big names advocating for the space. Ben & Jerry's doubles down on MJ justice advocacy and calls for cleared records, starting with Arizona. So, moreover, we had Mary Jones as well, named High Spirits Awards Best MJ Soda for second consecutive year. So that's Jones Soda. That's based out of Seattle. So is Nevis Brands, actually. They're based out of Seattle as well. And as we know, Mary Jones will be coming to Canada and other products potentially as well. And it's going to be in partnership with Tilray Brands and Jones Soda. So they'll be bringing that to Ontario and then likely BC to follow, and then other provinces to follow, likely Alberta and Quebec. Well, we'll see. Quebec has they have laws for sneezing the wrong way there, but we'll see how it rolls out in the rest of Canada. But I'm excited to try these, and could even be a buyout target for Tilray potentially, but great to see. That's a nice partnership there. Also, Constellation Brands converted their shares in MJ operator Canopy and departs board. So as we know, this was just recycled information. We already knew that Constellation Brands expressed their intent to convert into exchangeable shares, and they won't trade on any NASDAQ or major exchange, right? So, and then they already said that they would be getting rid of the board because you can't have governing rights. So this was all recycled information, and this came out after the fact. And even that morning, I did a video on this. They were recycling news from Monday, and just check that video out because I don't want to go too much and repeat myself, and I want to wrap this video up. Already gone longer than I expected. Also, U.S. liquor retail chain to deliver psychoactive drinks nationwide for 420. So again, we're already seeing Uber getting into the space, right? Delivery and things like that in certain areas of Canada, and it's just going to be a trend that continues. We already know Amazon and Apple back full-blown federal legalization as well. So this time definitely is different in my opinion, and we're so close. It's not even funny, but unfortunately we're still in the first inning, maybe not even halfway through it. So we still got a long road to go. It's been a journey, and I'm here for it. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing you the news and analysis and support along the way, right? It goes both ways. I really do. Each and every one of you, I really do think the world of you and appreciate all of what you've done to support me. And like I said, we're just getting started. And as long as I'm breathing air, I'll be making videos covering this amazing industry and medicine of the future. All right. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Hope you had a fantastic 420. Love each and every one of you. If you could smash the like on your way out, I would appreciate it. It's Rod with Power Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, and we'll see you again on the next video.